Welcome back to another video from Not Only Trout. Today we're going to be tying up one of my all-time favorite carp flies, the Carp Skittle. It's one that I've toyed with, tinkered with, changed around a little bit, and updated. But it's one that I know will catch plenty of carp. That said, with the name of Carp Skittle, you'd think that it only catches carp. That is absolutely not true. It's caught a variety of species of bass, trout, bluegill, green sunfish, and the list goes on. Can't wait to get it in more waters with different species to see what else it'll catch. In the vise today, we have a Daiichi 1520 hook in size 8. It's a really sturdy steelhead egg hook. So let's go ahead and get started. We're tying with some Semperfli Nano Silk in 12/0. That's 50 denier thread. Let's go ahead and get this tied in. And what we'll do is we'll take some bead chain and put it right next to the downward facing eye. Do some wraps on there to get that synced into place. And then lock that in place nice and tight. Okay, now that that's locked into place, we're going to take some chartreuse rabbit skin that is zonker stripped out, as you can see. And what we're going to do is we're going to take about a ½ inch of the fur, and we're going to trim that off the hide and use that as our tail. So snip that off. Nice and clean. And then what you'll do is you'll measure 1 full hook length. So the tip ends are 1 hook length, that's right there. So you can see that I'm going to need to trim this off to get this to seat right behind the bead chain. Perfect. So a nice loose wrap to get that seated into place. And then wrap that back all the way to the bend of the hook and just down just a little bit of the bend to have that kind of curve away from the, or curve back down. Tie that in nice and tight. And what we'll grab next is some UV Tracer Squirrel Dub. It's a new product, or a newer product from Nature Spirit. It's a great spiky squirrel dub. And we're gonna go through and build a nice little noodle right here. And start right back at the back where that rabbit is. Lost some of my dubbing there. And just kind of build that up, building a nice, smoothish looking body. Oops, hit my vise there. And taper that so that it goes all the way up to right behind the bead chain eyes. And it's okay if you have a little bit of thickness here. This fly kind of represents a damselfly or a dragonfly nymph, but it's just a good all-around tasty carp and bass snack. Need just a pinch more dubbing. And it gets right behind the bead chain eye. And then what you'll do is take a full strand of rubber leg and fold that in half so you can trim them even. I'll just cut that right here in half. And for the meanwhile, you're gonna, or for the right now time period, you're just gonna lay that on top and do 3 very loose wraps. I might have done 4 right then. Counting's hard sometimes. And I'll just kind of wiggle those down so that they rest right behind and beneath the eye of the bead chain ball. And then you can see that that's kind of there, and then I just kind of pull these forward just a little bit. I don't want them locked in place yet because we got to get some dubbing on there to complete this fly out. So next I'm using some other newer dubbing from Nature Spirit, some Disco Dub in Pale Caddis. It's kind of almost a chartreusey green, but they call it pale caddis, so that's what it is. Just build up a dubbing noodle here. And I like to do 2 wraps right behind the eyes to get those back legs pointed back. And then just do some wraps around the bead chain to cover up your previous 3rd wraps. And make sure to not trap your legs in a position where you don't want them, because then they're stuck. Let's make sure that the bottom of this fly is covered. Yep, it is. Now, one thing I've started doing that I really like doing is coming back behind the bead chain eyes and getting a really, really small dubbing noodle and whip finishing. It makes it so that the thread is completely not visible, and it takes it away from the point where it can bounce around on rocks and other places a lot more readily. And grab my whip finishing tool. Hit underneath my dubbing there for a second. 1, 2, 3. Pull that nice and tight. And I'll just get a little bit more dubbing and do that one more time. Give it 2 nice 3-turn whip finishes. And then trim that thread out. And then what you'll do is you'll take your pair of rear legs and trim them so they go right about the halfway point of the rabbit. And then you'll take the fly out of the vise, flip it over, and lead the legs so they go all the way back to the back corner of the hook, and trim them off right there. Now I'll give you some good forward facing legs, some wiggly rear facing legs, and a completed carp skittle. Now I'm going to trim up this dubbing a little bit because it got a little ski-wampus and crazy on me. But there we have it, a completed carp skittle. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you get some of these tied up, or that you buy them from the shop, and we'll get you taken care of. If you've made it this far, please take a moment to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I appreciate it greatly. Thank you.